It's a prop. It's a prop. It smells like a prop.
They flew right down the street, backyard loft. Hello.
You seem to have caught the attention of the security inside.
Yeah, of course. If they didn't get their attention, I don't know what they would do. The other side says free for 20 prisoners, which she is one.
So you're going international with your legalization effort.
Well, this is a strategic move because of the White House ignoring our protests recently about American prisoners that we just had. Check.
Check. All right. Okay, members of the media, we're going to make the statements quick because who knows what's going to happen.
I can tell you.
I just saw a couple soldiers come by, and we're going to be giving these plans. Here, let me get over here.
Adam,
Better light?
Adam, time out. Sorry. 20 seconds, time out. All right, here we go. Hey, don't go throwing it over the walls. Okay?
That's an arrestable offense, right?
Yes. All right.
Okay, I'm actually, just for the record, standing on the sidewalk. I believe this is the property line right here. Although they butted out, maybe it's right here. So, let me use these as a prop, okay? Because I just got warned I'd be arrested and I don't want... It's a protest. It says, in Russian, it says free Brittney Griner. And free the Russians as well. So basically our message in Russian on the joint here is to free Brittney Griner. Oh, come on, he's just attending.
I looked up the law, it says it's legal to let us know.
We promised to smoke out. It is legal, actually. And you can bring smoke. Smoke is legal fireworks in the District of Columbia. That's the reason why activists carry it around.
Don't do it.
This is what he's upset about. A legal smoke emitting device.
We use these for color, for effect, and because we have a giant joint, which I think the battery is going to need to get changed soon. But, did you guys bring the case up here? I see some familiar faces. If you want to help, make sure the case is up here. I hear it's about to deflate. Did you bring the batteries out? You got the batteries?
So much better on TV, I'm sure.
All right, someone's getting them. All right, let's get back on track here. This is a little chaotic. Civil disobedience often is. My name is Adam Eidinger. I was the proposer of Initiative 71 that legalized cannabis in the District of Columbia. I am outraged that Brittney Griner is now going to be sitting in a Russian slave labor camp for the next 9 years after this appeal was denied. I know I'm not the only one that's outraged. I'm holding cannabis plants that grow in the District of Columbia lawfully in our backyards. I literally cut this just moments ago in the backyard, okay? Americans have freedom at heart. Brittney Griner is not a drug smuggler. She is not someone who is trying to corrupt the Russian children. It is simply her fate as a political pawn in this horrific war on Ukraine. She is a pawn, a political pawn that is not just a political pawn in Russia, but a political pawn in the United States as well. As we debate the release of what I consider political prisoners, 2,800 Americans still behind bars in the United States for cannabis crimes. None of them were pardoned recently. We were at the White House protesting this past Monday. But it's only fair to bring the heat to Putin. It's only fair. Because this message right here says it all. Free Brittney Griner and the Russians from Putin. He has kidnapped this country, and now he's kidnapped a beloved American citizen, And I think Americans need to start speaking out. We need to stop holding our tongues. The Russians have kidnapped a beloved American hero. And we have offered a known arms dealer as a trade, which I think is not great, not good for the world. But that's how much this country cares about that, this woman, which is right to care. But we gotta care about all cannabis prisoners across the globe. Russia, the United States, Cuba, Iran. There are cannabis prisoners in every single country. And when the President of the United States goes on national television and opines on his efforts to free this woman, which are just and right, I ask, what is not just and right about doing this for the Americans, for the Canadians, for all the people who are behind bars? There is moral equivalency between persons who grow cannabis, like myself, and people who consume cannabis. And for some reason, in the eyes of many people in the Biden administration and in the Russian administration, the idea that the person who cultivates cannabis is more of a criminal than the person who possesses it is outrageous. We cannot be silent anymore. We cannot wait for the State Department to get their act together. We are mad that she's not out of jail. We're mad that they won't make a deal. And we're mad that the people of Ukraine are being slaughtered every day by this man, Putin. We're calling him out, and we're calling the Russian people. We're asking you, we're begging you, rise up against this man. I don't work for the CIA. I don't work for any agency. I'm just a citizen who's fed up, who's tired of seeing this on the evening news, who runs ballot initiatives here where the voters vote to legalize marijuana. I dare Russia to put a ballot initiative forward on legalizing marijuana. Because if it was a real democracy, it would be legal there as well. The whole world uses Russian cannabis genetics. The whole world, ruderalis, also known as autoflower, faster growing cannabis flowers come from Siberia, from the Russian Federation. This is outrageous that this woman is behind bars. Outrageous. And now I invite anyone else who wants to speak their mind to take this mic, anyone, as long as we can keep it on topic, to come up here and speak. I'm not wearing a mask today. I'm not hiding my identity. But many Americans here today are, because they're afraid of Vladimir Putin. I'm not afraid of this man. I don't care what he tries to do. I don't. He murders his political opponents. Is he going to start murdering Americans? He murders anyone who speaks out against him. And then he takes a beloved basketball player in both the United States and Russia and turns her into a drug kingpin over what? Not this. I'll put this down for a second. I want to show you what this is all about. This little tip right here on this vape pen, just the tip. That's what this is about. This little thing, this little tiny thing is not 9 years behind bars. This is not a drug kingpin, as the Russian Federation has tried to spin the story of Brittney Griner into a drug kingpin. She is not a drug kingpin. She was using this medicinally. She had permission from her doctor to use this. This is total outrage. And we've been silent too long. We've been silent too long. We have to speak out. There's a human rights disaster happening in Russia and in Eastern Europe and Ukraine. And I have been there with some people who are here today as well. Multiple times bringing humanitarian relief, meeting with refugees, making friends with refugees, learning their stories. And what the Russian military has done to Ukraine is immoral. It's just as immoral as what they're doing to Brittney Griner. It's unjust. It's murder. It's not even something that anyone in Russia really wants. I know that in my heart. So, the mic is open. If you want to speak, come on up. If not, we're just going to hang out here till 4:20. There already has been some smoke. It wasn't cannabis smoke, it was lawful smoke, known as artistic smoke. If anyone's wondering what this joint says, I'm going to do the translation one more time. I don't speak Russian, but the translation is free Griner and Russians from Putin. We hope the people in Moscow actually read this message, actually get the point of why we brought a joint. Oh, here's the smoke. Here's the smoke. Lawful in District of Columbia, folks. Not civil disobedience. But I wouldn't inhale it. It's pretty nasty.
Brittany was a different campaign.
Next ballot initiative, banning smoke in the District of Columbia. Yeah, so it's past 4:20. I'm gonna vape right now.
I'm not going to jail. I have a good weekend. Yes, I'm a professor of cannabis at the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy. You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to say hello.
Here's another one. And I have these props.
Last little dog walker.
It's a plant, guys.
I haven't shared this much.
If any of you guys have questions for this crew, we're up for it.
So I'm not going to say that. I can't get my together.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I just meant like my picture on the front page.
All right, look at here.
Washing boats. Am I leaving?
Say, all right.
Are we done?
Consumption is public.
Yeah, it's a $25 fine, isn't it?
Well, it's still an actual offense.
Really, that's it.
Let's talk it out. First of all, we need to get this thing out of the way. First of all, we need to get this out of the way. All right. You gotta move it up. All right. But if you put it, you gotta get off the ground. You gotta get off the ground. If you put it on the sidewalk, you're on the sidewalk. All right. So, do we put it up here, or what can we do with it?
That's a good
So we have to move.
Now I have to figure that out. Okay, we can move it. What we would like to do is just be right here in this lane, not even on the sidewalk, because we'll block the sidewalk.
Okay.
And then we'll just
We'll put it right up here in front, on the street, right here in front of Metro. Right.
This is right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Metro. Yeah, Metro bus stand.
We're off this area.
Yeah, we gotta get off the bus. Technically, the cobblestone is there. Probably plus your block and
Yeah, I don't think we can. Right here, the sidewalk gets real skinny. So
Right.
I don't know. So that would be nice to put it there right now.
All right. All right, that works for us.
Metro can deal with us.
Yeah. We're not, this thing, I'm not trying, we're not, we have everything, it's the same thing, you got a job.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So we'll get on this right away.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we'll talk next week. So let's get our whole crew together. Who's here to protest? If you're here to protest, we need your help now.
I'm sorry.
If you're here for media, great. If you're here for protesting, we need your help because we're going to pick this up and we're going to move it right to where the Metro bus station is. We're going to put it in the street. Because that's the only place where we can't keep it here.
I'm not.
We're not blocking the street. We're just gonna put it. I just talked to law enforcement about it.
No, I know, but you know, it's off-brand for me to touch that. So I.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it off-brand for you? All right.
Yeah. There you go. Sorry, I had to say that out loud. I thought you heard that. I'm a junior.
All right, we're gonna move.
Are you moving?
Yeah, we're gonna move this.
Can you wait? Like, is there?
I'm just putting my car.
I'll move that too.
Okay, I don't want to get
Where are you going? This way? In front of the Metro bus.
Right here, guys.
Right here?
Is it just this way in the spot?
Yeah, right now. I mean, but people are. I mean, just watch your back, man. Guys around here.
I would love if someone else helped me. Is there a rest? I thought that.
How are you? What's up?
This?
Oh, so cool. I love Adam. It's amazing.
flagging too much?
I mean, obviously, I was just recording what you were saying, but just so I have it, again, why you out here? Why are you guys doing this? And just, give me the what you just said when you were talking on.
I mean, I think many Americans have been staying silent on this intentionally, hoping that the State Department could solve it, hoping the President could solve it, because the President's been talking about it a lot. But she's a beloved basketball player in the United States and Russia, and it's time for people that care about her, it's time for cannabis activists all across America to really fight for her. And we are here in Washington, D.C. I live very close to here, and the idea was, what's the excuse now not to protest? And really let them know we're not happy. You're pissing off the average American now. You're pissing off the cannabis activists, and it's time for legalization across the globe. And the U.S. is moving in that direction. The President clearly is moving in that direction with the 6,500 pardons for simple possession. She's in jail for simple possession. She's in jail for what the President just pardoned at the federal level, which is not going to be prosecuted anymore. And I mean, even just now with the Secret Service here, they're a federal agency. Technically, they could arrest us for what we just did. Notice they didn't. Notice we also cooperated with them. So, we're living in a world where nobody wants to go to jail for this anymore. We don't want to go to jail for this anymore. But 9 years for this little thing that is so common and ubiquitous across the United States and across the globe now. It's like this is, just an extract. And they've been lying to the Russian public apparently that she's some sort of kingpin, that she's sort of smuggling a whole lot of it. That's not true. It was just for her personal use, and it was a small amount at that.
Do you feel like, because of her status, and it's less about the marijuana per se or the cannabis, and they can use her as like a pawn to try and leverage some other prisoners or Russian prisoners and things like that. Like you were saying, they wanted to trade an arms dealer for her. I mean, That seems like a basketball player for an arms dealer is a very.
Brittney Griner is a political pawn being used by Russia as well as the United States. And I say that because the President of the United States talks about Brittney Griner to show he's concerned about what happens to people with small amounts of cannabis who get arrested. He's against that from happening. So he's consistent on this, and but again, he's still using her as a political pawn as well in his own way. Yeah. So we as the cannabis advocates are tired of silencing ourselves, thinking that the president's got it under control, the Secretary of State has it under control. They don't. She's going to a gulag for 9 years. They have to try harder. Maybe they have to offer more. Maybe they have to, start getting into some peace talks. We don't want the war in Ukraine. We want Ukraine to be free of the Russians. Everybody here, we all talked about that ahead of time. We're not in support of Russia's war in any way, and we're not supportive of them using Americans as pawns in this war. And we are pleading to the Russian people to get rid of this guy. You live in a democracy, use it. The world has lost total confidence, any kind of confidence in Russian leadership at this point, especially when they do things like this. This is Soviet era tactics, where you put somebody away for 9 years for this little thing, which is manufactured and parts are made in China and shipped all around the world and made here. This is a global enterprise, and you know what? You can get these in Russia. You can get cannabis in Russia. Lots of people use cannabis in Russia. If she was treated like a normal Russian who has a small amount, she would be in jail for at maximum 2 weeks. At maximum.
Yeah.
And they're giving her 9 years. They're making her into a political pawn. We can see it. We see what Putin's doing, and we're calling it out. We're not afraid.
Perfect. What's your name?
My name is Adam Eidinger. Last name is spelled Eidinger, and I'm the proposer of Initiative 71 that legalized marijuana in Washington, D.C.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, enough talking. You have a... Well, someone else could talk. My crew, if anyone else wanted to express themselves, no one else.
Yeah,
What about CD holders then? Who else needs a prop? You want a prop? It's vegan. This is we can have some. We have a lot of our own. Not right now.
Adam, take with the front of
I meant in my garden. Really? You should. Okay.
Yeah, take the road.
So that's what you want to do? I just got shorts out for you.
You don't even need Russian.
I got you. We're gonna get our crew together. We're gonna flip it around.
Did you get that shot?
They need to find out for one together.
Did you get that shot?
Something like it, yeah.
Did you come over this way?
So I just want to acknowledge Cesar
Oh, I
Maxis,
stopped.
the artist behind the 51-foot joint. Also, I also want to acknowledge Nick and Chris, who did an amazing job getting this message on here today. But we're gonna turn it around,
Well done.
and we need like 6 or 7 people. And we're not blocking the street. We're just gonna turn it around, okay?
Yeah, you can use
You guys cool? It'll be another photo op. Put the flags down for 1 sec. And it'll be another photo op for the press to have us turn it around. We want to have the Russian on the inside facing the embassy, and we want the English facing the traffic and people driving by. Because people driving by can't read Russian generally. All right? Oh, and we might put some music on too.
Good idea, Adam. I just want to make sure I have it right. It's free
I don't got enough.
So what do you say?
Oh, that's your idea.
Alright, ready? Can you grab the leaf?
Hey, Connor.
Ford, how many feet is this? How many feet is
51.
51 feet.
Because 50, DC being the 51st state.
So it's 51.
Yeah.
chocolate for you guys. It's magic chocolate.
So what's your store name?
No, it doesn't have cannabis in it. It's Dr. Bronner's chocolate. You guys want some?
That's good. I'll take that.
I mean, don't accuse me of bribing the media here.
Okay.
No, I don't want this. I can't.
It's low sugar, low sugar.
Listen, it's legal.
I don't promise anything, man. I don't promise it's going to be published.
Check.
You guys know who Camilla? Let me see, what's that? Believe. She's that Russian
Sorry, I was trying to get your pen with
all
the
good.
embassy.
You want a
sign.
blind?
It's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do, but just wanted to make it clear why I was so close to your face. It's awkward like that.
It's all good. Team won the gold medal. And then she was going the individual round, and they said, oh, she's guilty, but let's let her skate anyway. And of course she cried because she's a little girl. And then she tanked and came in fourth place. But they still let her skate. And she was definitely guilty. I mean, the Russians are such hypocrites. They shouldn't have let her skate. She should be in prison right now, in the gulag, just like, they're sending Americans. Or they should all be free. So she's free. Brittany is not free, and the other dude, I don't know his name right now, but he should be free as well. I mean, this is ridiculous. Any other person who's found guilty in Russia would get a fine and deportation. And that's exactly what they should have done to Brittany, and then she'd be free from there. I think the State Department should not allow any athlete to play sports in Russia, because they could easily be set up. They can put something in their luggage, and in Russia you're guilty and have to prove yourself innocent, which is the opposite of what we have here.
Why isn't every sports league saying the same thing about all their athletes playing?
No more athletes should be allowed to participate in sports in Russia. And they should just deport them all, or they should all come home and just leave it at that. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, go girl. Yeah, Lisa.
Anybody else who wants to talk?
All right, guys, you gotta make a hole through the sidewalk, please.
Take some.
Got people who can't get around. There we go. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Nathan. I live in Southeast DC, and I just want to say I wanted to come out today because there are thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people all around the world who are imprisoned and incarcerated because of this plant, because of the cannabis plant. And Brittney Griner is only the most famous of all those prisoners. So we're here today to say, free Brittney, free them all! Free Brittney, free them all! Free Brittney, free them all!
Free them all. No one should be locked up for a plant. I mean, Mother Nature exists for a reason. I can't stand spiders, but people tell me I shouldn't kill the spider that I'm so afraid of because it's here for a reason. I don't care what that reason is. I want to kill it, but I know that it's here for a reason. Everything that grows in nature is here for a reason.
Sorry, I didn't
They
mean
just
to
don't
block
want
you
to
before.
admit
I was
the
trying to film
reason,
the guy who was
and
yelling.
it's healing powers. It's got a whole lot of things. If we legalized it, they could study and find out. It could be a cure for a whole lot of things. Cure for cancer. I mean, nobody can find a cure for cancer. Maybe it's the cannabis. I don't know. We don't know because they won't legalize it. But it's Mother Nature, and nobody should be in prison for a plant. Nobody should be locked up for a plant. That's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Adrian, do you have a candidate for Ward 3 Council here?
Adrian is a candidate for Ward 3 DC Council. He's on the ballot. You can vote for him.
Hi, my name is Adrian Salzgiver. I'm the Libertarian candidate for Ward 3 City Council. And I'm here to tell you that no government has the right to tell you that you cannot smoke marijuana. It is a God-given natural human right.
We got to get her out. We got to make this bigger. We would all show up, right? But I made a promise to her spokesperson who called me just like a few hours ago. I said, we're not going to do another one of these. This is the only one. It's a one-off. Until you ask us as the immediate supporters to do this again, we'll do it again. Because we're not trying to screw up any kind of back channel that's going on, any kind of negotiation. We don't know what's going on. The average American doesn't know what's happening. We don't know what's going on with the State Department and this negotiation with Russia. They could be talking about so much more. And Griner's just a pawn, you know, it's a big chess game. I mean, that term pawn, who likes to play chess? I like to play chess a lot. Russians like to play chess. I've been spending a lot of time with Ukrainians. They love to play chess. And it is like a metaphor for life in some ways, the game. And really, she is just a small pawn in this big game, this very deadly game that's being played with the world, with our fates, our collective fate. As Adrian so eloquently stated, we don't want nuclear war. We just don't. Nobody wants this. Why are we living in a world where people are threatening nuclear war? This is so stupid and unnecessary, you know? So I know there are lots of Russian stoners because I've met them here. And I can't believe that all the Russian stoners came here and none of them are left in Russia. I just can't believe it. I actually am shocked that Vladimir Putin hasn't tried weed at this point. I'm shocked. I would willing to bet he's done it quite a bit. And there are other political leaders in Russia that are on TV every night. I know they're into vodka. They're into being sober too. Yeah, let's make sure if you can move that tripod just a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, trying to block the sidewalk here. But I'm sure there are people all throughout Russian society, important people that use cannabis, and they're hiding it. They're in the closet about it.
That's right.
And that's where we were not that long ago in Washington, D.C. We were in the closet. We came out of the closet in 2014 when 70% of the public here voted to legalize cannabis. Voted. And so one of the things I want to challenge Vladimir Putin on is to put a referendum out there in your own country. Let the Russian people decide if cannabis should be legal or not. You know, just put the issue to a vote. I bet you get a nice high turnout in Russia for that. Now, part of the reason I think that the Russian Federation is so staunchly anti-marijuana is because also they have almost like a religious fervor about drugs coming from the church there, from the Russian Orthodox Church. And it's a different Russian Orthodox Church than the Russian Orthodox Church here, which has condemned the war and condemned what's going on in Russia. So, but the patriarch in Russia is not a good guy. I just put it that way. Not a good. And it's in trying to tell people that it's okay to brutalize cannabis users. It's okay to mistreat them and steal from them and burn their house down. If you know, it's like there are just horror stories of what happens to people who use cannabis in Russia. And it's very political. It's very much connected to what your status is in society. It doesn't sound all that different than the United States, right? It's very similar here too when it comes to minorities being primary group that has borne the brunt of a drug policy that is a proven failure, waste of police time, waste of resources all around. So we did the same thing. I'm not trying to say the United States is better than Russia. I actually have had a lot of people accuse me of being like a staunch partisan for the war, when I'm just saying that Ukraine has a right to self-defense, you know? Sorry I have to swear, but they were invaded. Russia signed a treaty with Ukraine 30 years ago. The border was well established. They lived in peace for over 20 years until Putin decided it was theirs. And there's a lot of natural gas under the Donbass, no doubt. It's about stealing natural resources. So this war is stupid. But it's no different than what the U.S. did in the Middle East, in a way, right? I mean, we definitely tricked Iraq twice. First time was literally like, yes, you can take Kuwait, we won't do anything. Oh, you took Kuwait, we're going to organize the whole world against you. That happened. I mean, that's really how it went down. It was a miscommunication. The Iraqis were checking in with Bush. I know I'm a little bit off the subject, but my point is that we're not saying that we're more moral than the Russians. I need the Russians to hear that, if they're listening right now. I don't know if they are anymore, but if they were listening, I would want them to think the United States, this guy who organized the protest, is not saying we're more moral than them. We have committed many of the same sins. If you go to the Circle, just west of DuPont Circle, called Sheridan Circle. Anyone familiar with this circle? There's a memorial there from the 80s. It has the faces of 2 Americans who were murdered by our own government, and their car was blown up. And they were political activists in Central America. They were working with left-wing groups in Central America, and the CIA and the FBI worked together to actually blow up their car with them in it, like leaving their house on that circle. And right on the spot where the car blew up, there's this little memorial. It's about this high off the ground. It has the faces of these 2 people. My mind's a mess, like Joe Rogan says. I'm just the same way. I'm getting older and I can't remember things so easily, so I'm spacing on the names. But I promise you, if you walk on the south side of the circle, at Sheridan Circle, you can see the physical proof of the U.S. government murdering its own citizens who took legitimate political action for self-determination for people. But Russia then, so now I've said that, right? But Russia kills its own political opponents. People who are peaceful political organizers end up in jail for life. People who speak out against the Kremlin end up in jail or lose their jobs or are listed never to work in any good job again. In fact, if they try to get a good job, even if they're qualified, someone from the government will come and pressure that person not to hire them. So everyone in Russia is living in fear of pissing off anyone who has to do with politics. And so many people just have their heads down and they know how to look like they're doing what's necessary. I recently watched an in-depth special about rallies that are happening in Moscow right now. These official rallies are being organized by the Kremlin to show support for annexation of Ukraine. And what people do is they basically check in because the government's monitoring whether or not all the government workers showed up or not. And they're all told, you all got to show up at this rally. Like Putin's having a rally, we're all showing up. It's kind of like when Mayor Bowser has a rally here and all the DC government workers have to show up, okay? And it was the same way under previous mayors, by the way. It's like that in many parts of the world. But imagine like this on a huge scale where you're basically ordering tens of thousands of people to leave work and go to a political rally waving flags. So the people go and they wave the flags only haphazardly. They take pictures of themselves to make sure they can post on social media that they were actually at the rally celebrating the annexation of Ukraine. They cover all the bases and then they get the hell out of there. Nobody wants to stay very long. It's about showing up and looking like you're doing what you have to do. It's fake democracy. It's so funny. The Russians came here and got their agent Donald Trump to say things about our democracy and well, actually, they're the real fake democracy. They're the ones with the real rigged elections where they take people off the ballot who have a lawful right to be on the ballot. And we don't do that here. If someone collects enough signatures, you get on the ballot. Yes, we have a weird election system with electoral college. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. Anyway, I'm ranting at this point, but the mic is open. If you have something you want to get off your chest, if you can stay on the topic of Brittney Griner and stay on the topic of the relationship between the drug war here and the drug war in Russia, because they actually are very similar. That's a fair topic for this protest. All right, I guess Adrian's next, unless there's someone who hasn't spoke yet. I saw a couple new people. Do you want to speak? You want to get on the mic? Nah, okay. Chris. I don't want Chris too, but I'm not going to call her out like that. I just did, sort of, but come on. You got fans in Maryland. They're watching right now. You can go through. It's open. Yeah, let's not block the sidewalk. We got scooters and things, but this has been a pretty successful demonstration. I think we're raising awareness that folks are not satisfied with what's happening right now with Griner. Who wants to get on? Anybody? Adrian's back. Come on.
Yes, I would just like to say something that our friend Lisa Scott touched upon, the war on drugs, and what I call the big pharma death cult. Now, there are many people, especially seniors and veterans, that are really suffering in the big pharma death cult when all they really need is a little marijuana, a little cannabis, and it's the only thing that helps with PTSD, for one thing. So the fact that it's illegal should not be even considered, because we're talking about people suffering and people dying. And it's also part of what's called the right to try. Now, there are people who use psilocybin as medicine. And this is part of the war on drugs, part of what I call the war on humanity. There is a war on humanity, and it's very easy to see all around you. It's like there's like nothing you have or do that is not touched by the government. There's always some kind of law, some kind of rule, some kind of thing going on where you don't really have any freedom. And I think that since 9/11, and especially
Okay, so it seems like this is going to go on for a little bit longer. They kind of have one speaker who spoke before and kind of went back up. But so I'm going to start heading out from here. But as you can see behind me, this is a 51-foot joint. The protesters are with the group DCMJ, which is DC Marijuana Justice. They came out here and smoked a little something. And basically that was in protest against Russia, the Russian embassy kind of being over the wall there. And so they were trying to protest Russia over the imprisonment of Brittney Griner, who is serving 9 years in a Russian prison over a small amount of cannabis. So they were out there kind of pointing out both that as well as what they see as the hypocrisy of the United States continuing to imprison people essentially for the same reason, usually for slightly more, such as like distribution or something like that. But he was pointing out that there are also federal cannabis prisoners in the United States as well. So that was led by Adam Eidinger, who is actually the person who led the charge to get DC to legalize marijuana in 2014, officially submitted the petition that got that done. And so he led this protest out here. He did say that he actually spoke to representatives from Brittney Griner's legal reps, and they basically do not officially endorse this action, and there's not going to be another action like this unless requested by her attorney. So with that, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll have some fun videos and photos.